Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for this MUSE Brief on our books program, which is celebrating 10 years in 2022. My name is Phil Hearn, and I am Publisher Relations Manager at Project MUSE. I actually joined MUSE just over 10 years ago as part of the production team, joining just as the book initiative was in its final sprint before launch. So this is a particularly meaningful anniversary to me professionally and personally. Time has gone fast, but there have also been many changes and advances over the years as we've continuously adapted to changing market forces and evolving digital scholarly communications landscape. To celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Books on Muse, let's take about 15 minutes to go back in time and trace how we got here, as well as where 10 years of growth and development are positioning us moving forward. Project MUSE was founded in 1995 as a platform to host journals from Johns Hopkins University Press, of which we are a part. At the turn of the millennium, we began hosting journals from other university presses and nonprofit publishers and societies. But the first spark for Books on Muse begins around 2010, when increased interest in institutional sale of ebooks led to a project called Project MUSE Editions. This project was designed as a frontlist model, selling humanities and social science ebooks to libraries and serving them right alongside all the journal content that was already on the platform. This was designed around an original slate of 27 publishers and an expected initial batch of around 500 frontlist titles, with an expected launch date in July of 2011. In the course of developing Project MUSE Editions, Project MUSE partnered with the University Press ebook Consortium, a Mellon-funded group of 60 publishers intent on researching and developing institutional models for University Press ebooks. So a very appropriate choice of partner. The result of this partnership was the University Press Content Consortium, which nearly tripled the number of publishers that would be bringing their books to the MUSE platform and expanded many times over the number of books that would launch. In replacing the Project MUSE Editions model, the UPCC model was different in some essential ways. It introduced value-based or index pricing rather than basing collection prices on digital list prices. It introduced backlist books as well, which vastly expanded the scope of the book launch, which had previously been just front list titles from 2010 through 2012. Now it could go all the way back as far as a publisher had digitized. And also built into the model were annual collections to sustain moving forward. Rolled into this initiative was also a massive redesign of the Project MUSE site. So in the summer of 2011, we launched the beta site with 700 books from 28 publishers. UPCC was set to launch in January of 2012. From inception to launch, staff implemented the workflows to ingest, process, index, and launch about 14,000 ebooks from 66 publishers in just 250 days from inception to launch. To accommodate a whole new content type on the platform, not only did our production workflows and business models and publishing agreements need to be overhauled, but the user experience on the site itself required a complete redesign. The resulting launch on the Project MUSE platform in January 2012 came from a huge lift from our small team, including a midnight launch on New Year's Eve while our tech team pushed live the new site. And there you can see a screenshot of what the homepage looked like back then. So at launch, the books were only available for institutional sales through curated collections based on subject and publication year. For instance, 2012 history or 2011 political science and policy were separate subject collections. Depending on the subject, these collections might have dozens or hundreds of books in them. Buying books via collections worked for many libraries and publishers alike due to the scalable discounts and the consistency associated with them. But of course, this was not the only way to purchase, and some libraries preferred to pick and choose individual titles through their approval plans and preferred storefronts. So in 2013, we launched our single title sales model through Yankee Book Peddler, now Gobi, and have since expanded that to include the Oasis storefront as well. This vastly lowered the barrier to entry for libraries that were interested in smaller purchases on MUSE. And it also provided publishers with a new avenue for sales and pricing on MUSE, laying the groundwork for more individualized sales options moving forward. And speaking of which, in 2014, we launched an evidence-based acquisitions pilot. In this model, libraries commit a certain dollar amount that they would like to spend on MUSE books, and then we provide that institution's users with access to the books on our platform for usually a standard term of 12 months. And at the end of that term, the institution makes purchase decisions based on usage data. This began in 2014 with one pilot library. By 2016, we had 7 participating libraries. And now in 2022, we have 77 participating institutions in an EBA model. This model really works well for institutions who prefer for their users to guide them to the most valuable content on MUSE. For more about this program and how it continues growing and adapting, I encourage you to check out the Sales and Marketing MUSE Brief. And that's a really fascinating discussion about this and our other models as well. So for the next couple years, our holdings and our list of participating publishers and our partnerships continued to grow. But over those years, as our sales models evolved and developed, there was also an increased enthusiasm and uptake across the scholarly communications landscape of open access content. We wanted to explore what that could mean for humanities and social science monographs on MUSE. In June of 2016, MUSE received a Mellon Grant for MUSE Open, a 2-year initiative with the goal of making OA monographs visible, discoverable, and potentially transformative. Our team immediately went to work with developing the tools and infrastructure and workflows that would enable MUSE to ingest EPUB files and convert them to HTML5 for max accessibility, as well as increased efficiency and a decreased time to launch from file receipt. We also engaged in a robust UX testing and iteration process to implement a full site redesign, which was yet another full MUSE redesign that was linked to a new ebook initiative. So for 2 years, we were deep into the development of this new project. And after 2 years, in 2018, the redesigned site and open access books launched on Project MUSE. And here's what the homepage looked like at that time in 2018. This launch also included expanded usage data capabilities for publishers and institutions to track both gated and open access usage together. Within the first 12 months into 2019, after launch, we had over 1,000 OA books from nearly 24 publishers. Now we have over 4,400 OA books from 88 publishers. Just 4 years later. And we have the agile workflows in place to launch both native OA or transition older books already on the platform to an open access model. We've also seen our open access usage grow even faster than the content. As increased library ingestion of open access title lists through MARC records and discovery layers like Ex Libris and EBSCO EDS and OCLC, and other downstream linking and data distribution partnerships, such as with the Directory of Open Access Books. These have all driven more and more users to the freely available content on Project MUSE. So 2020 ended up being a year far different from what any of us expected going into it, to put it mildly. At the beginning of the year, we were beginning celebrations for another anniversary, the 25th anniversary of the launch of the platform, with a full year of programming planned to mark the occasion. Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic began, but when the pandemic hit and the world's institutions went remote, MUSE proactively worked with 79 of our participating publishers to offer content for free, regardless of institutional affiliation anywhere in the world. This included 24,000 books made available for free, which was 35% of our book holdings at the time, and which, combined with our growing list of OA books, accounted for 25 million hits in 2020, when access to physical libraries was at its most limited. The result was the widest usage that we have ever seen on our platform. It was a fascinating case study on the scale of readership that humanities and social science books can reach when barriers are removed. Now, you'll remember that our collections model was the one we came right out the gate with in 2012. For many libraries, particularly the ones who return each year to purchase the annual frontlist collections, this model works well. Those collections also support publishers with guaranteed sales of their frontlist titles each year as libraries top off their collections. But we wanted to develop a solution in between our existing collections and single title model, where institutions could purchase books in bundles with appropriate pricing, and where publishers' books, particularly backlist titles, older titles, aren't stuck in large archival collections that were out of reach for many libraries. So just last year, we launched our Books Custom Collections program, offering institutions limitless possibilities for book collections and the ability to hone a purchase exactly to a library's needs and budget. Now, libraries can assemble collections of any size. They can mix and match subjects and publication years, more easily fill gaps in their holdings. At the same time, publishers will see their titles have more opportunities for sale because they're not assigned to a limited number of static collections. This was once again an enormous task for our small but mighty team, having to redesign workflows to support a more publisher metadata-driven acquisitions infrastructure. A book's subject codes, price, publication year, and other metadata flow right through so that it's easy for our sales team to assemble collections that are right for each library. BCC continues our development of the book program to meet libraries and publishers exactly where they are, regardless of how big or small their programs. This sets us up to bring even more institutions and researchers onto MUSE. So now, in 2022, we can see the results of 10 years of steady growth and evolution. Here are the numbers. So then, in 2012, when we launched, we had 66 publishers with books on MUSE, 14,000 titles, 84 purchasing institutions, and 13 countries represented. Now, over 210 publishers with books on MUSE, 82,000 titles, over 2,000 purchasing institutions, and 52 countries where purchased access to MUSE books are available. Now, those institutions and countries, by the way, don't account for our open access content, which is, of course, available and accessed by every country in the world. So, looking forward, how does this position us to keep innovating and supporting humanities and social science scholarship? First off, the spirit of these first 10 years of books on MUSE remains alive and well. That means continued support, expansion, and experimentation with how MUSE's role in the scholarly communications ecosystem can work for the benefit of the entire space. The usage data tells us that the demand is there. People want to read these books. So we're constantly working on developing models that are reasonable for library budgets and return sustainable revenue to publishers, while also being usable and accessible as possible for our end users, minimizing DRM and helping them find pathways to access. Books Custom Collections opens up whole new avenues for us to deliver our content to libraries. At this time, we're beginning to explore publisher packages, chapter sales, and sales to individuals. We're also committed to continued investment in open access, both sustaining our current fee-based model and exploring other models for funding and hosting, working towards solutions that solve the OA interests of libraries, publishers, and users. This also includes actively increasing the discovery of the OA books that are already in our system, sending the metadata far and wide to our dozens of linking and discovery partners so that users can discover it no matter where their search begins online. And speaking of discovery, we have been working with Cactus and the Classify system to identify new ways of making content connections beyond subject codes and metadata through artificial intelligence, as well as exploring how AI can help us to better identify titles for libraries to acquire. Please do check out the tech and production video for a discussion on that initiative. We'd be happy to discuss these topics and more at the Books networking session on April 5th. What directions do you, our librarians, publishers, and scholars, want to see ebook acquisition, sales, and access go moving forward? How can we use the scale and technology of Project MUSE as a platform, coupled with our mission-driven nonprofit approach, to help you achieve your goals and, more broadly, to make scholarship available widely and sustainably? Also, if you're a publisher, either a currently participating publisher looking to increase your participation in MUSE, or if you're not in MUSE yet and would like to start a conversation about how MUSE might be able to help your books reach more readers around the world, please feel free to reach out to me directly or apply via the web form on our site. I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope that you'll join us for the Books networking session on Tuesday, April 5th at 2:15 EDT. I'll see you there, and I hope at the rest of these meets as well. Thank you.